When the summer solstice starts and we're sitting on a beach or fishing at the lake or just taking a break, the countdown clocks have started, fight songs pass the time. The days may run together, but you know that in our mind it's always Saturday. Take me back to Saturday. Saturday. Give me those 12 Saturdays. Spot the ball. March Madness is a blast, and we love baseball games, but nothing beats the feeling of having a killer slate of games. It's always Saturday. Take me back to Saturday. Saturday. Dreaming of all Saturdays. Spot the ball. Spot the ball. Oh, college football. Sat out your day. For the small, lay a big hit and pass a kick the ball. This game is for us all. From Seattle down toward the Keys, this game is you, this game is me. Cats, dogs, and steer, be the tree. This game is America, so sing it loud with me. College football forever. College football forever. Downtown LA, Starkville City. 1 week you're up next, take a dip, run the rock or let it rip. This game is America. All say, can you sing it with me?
We just stepped on her face with a hot-tail Logan brought her nose. Whoa, Nelly!
College football forever. College football forever. College football forever. College football forever.
College football is a year-round discussion with these two. Here's JC and Morgan. Mike Morgan of ESPN and JC Sherbert of 24/7 Sports have you covered, beginning right now.
And a good morning and welcome. It is another installment of JC and Morgan, the first of the month of December. It is also the final regular season college football playoff poll. The last one that kind of doesn't matter, but kind of does matter because the next one really matters. And this one that kind of doesn't matter affects the one that does matter. I think I have that right. Something like that. Yes, there were games played on Rivalry Week, but obviously other storylines stole the show, including Kiffin Gate. And we now know where just about everybody has landed. And man, was Sunday unbelievable in terms of news, just rapid fire, boom, 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 one hire after another, musical chairs, coaches leaving, new dreams, new promises for programs that couldn't wait to get rid of their old coach. Unless you're Ole Miss, you wanted the old coach, and now you hate the old coach, and he is your sworn enemy because he left you for another cool school. That was the only SEC on SEC crime. The rest of it was predominantly G5 schools. And if you've been listening to this show, G5 John's been telling you about all these guys. We've been doing deep dives on all these guys. We'll do another one, by the way, because there's a coach that I think now a lot of people are hearing about for maybe the first time, and that's Will Stein of Kentucky. I mean, we've done deep dives on the Moscow Mule, Alex Golish. We've done deep dives on Sumrall and Silverfield. If you've been watching this show, you already kind of know some stuff about these guys because we talk about them here. But the Stein one is the latest one. So we'll get into all that. G5 John, we got the JC5. We got Mad Dog, who's mad about traffic lines dropping off kids at school. That would frustrate just about anybody. But a man of complete cool, calm, and even demeanor, J.C. Sherbert, wearing his Chicago Bears cap because the Bears have all of a sudden shown life in the NFL. Good morning.
They're at the best record in the NFC right now, Mike.
It's crazy, man. Hell of a coaching job. A hell of a coaching job.
Yeah, I can tie this back to some of these openings. It looks like a lot of people went offense. Offense matters, man. Ben Johnson, I'm still not convinced Caleb Williams is great right now. I think he's pretty good.
He's pretty good.
And he's well coached, and they win a lot of close games. And I mean, you know, sometimes in the NFL, you'll hire a guy that's kind of hyped because he worked for this great, you know, they all hire these young play caller, innovator guys. And certainly there's been many that have gotten jobs and failed. But Ben Johnson's is it Ben Johnson? No, I said Brian Johnson. I meant Ben Johnson's the real deal. I mean, he's they've been bad on offense for that franchise forever. So hats off to the North Carolina Tar Heel graduate, Ben Johnson, who I believe I covered as a recruit back in the day. And the Bears, 6 new coaches in the SEC. Here we are, almost half the league. You called it last year, Michael. You said there's no changes this year, but next year you can see a lot going on. One interleague move, obviously, with Kiffin, but other than Kiffin, it's G5s and three G5s and head coaches and 2 coordinators from the Power 5 level, including an internal promotion at Ole Miss and Pete Golding. So that's out with the old, in with the new, certainly when it comes to the SEC.
Can I just throw one aside since you mentioned it? You got me thinking when you brought up Caleb Williams. We've talked about on this show, this has been the year, particularly in the SEC, of the disappointing quarterback play. All the guys at the top had down years. Guys that we weren't talking nearly as much about had breakthrough years. So we'll see how that translates for the draft. Some of those guys are draft eligible, some are not. But I'm going back to the 2024 draft class of quarterbacks because you know I love this stuff. It's a weird obsession. Caleb Williams was the first pick out of Southern Cal. He's looking pretty legit. I know that he's been hot and cold, but I would actually I would buy some stock on Caleb Williams. He's making me a believer. You know how I feel about Jaden Daniels, even though that what I worry about with Jaden Daniels out of LSU, who went number 2 that year, is he's so frail. Even when he put on 15 pounds, he gets hurt a lot. And so he's had a disappointing 2025 after an incredible 2024. But still, I'm still bullish on Jaden Daniels. Number 3, you know I was bullish on this guy before he even started his final season in Chapel Hill. Speaking of North Carolina, when you mentioned Ben Johnson, that made me think Tar Heels. Drake May. Is anybody paying attention to what Drake? I know this is a college football show, but Drake May could be the NFL MVP. He's one of the 3 finalists right now in any Vegas odds. He was the number 3 pick. Dude is balling. I mean, he is just, and you watch him. The athleticism's always been there. He comes from an athletic family. His brother played on the Tar Heels basketball championship team, but watch him throw the ball, man. Everything is friggin' frozen rope, right on target. The game just looks easy to him. He's not exactly playing around a world of talent in New England. And then Penix here in Atlanta, jury's out. He's hurt now. He had a down year. This is what happens when you play your whole life in the shotgun, and then the NFL comes around and says, no, we don't do that here, son. You're going to have to learn how to play under center. His footwork is off. His throwing motion's off. He doesn't like playing under center. Jury's still out on Penix at 8. J.J. McCarthy, jury's definitely out on him at 10. And then at 12, Bo Nix. And Auburn couldn't wait to kick Bo Nix to the curb. He goes to Oregon, lights it up, and right now he's playing like a Pro Bowl quarterback in Denver. And they have, I think, an 8 or 9 game winning streak. That was the quarterback. Those were all top 12 picks in the class of 2024. We might look back at that years from now as one of the best classes in our lifetime. Who knows? I don't know if it's class of 83 good, but it's pretty damn good. So
they were talking about it being generational during the draft. Remember?
Yeah. And people hear that and they're always like, well, yeah, we'll wait till they bust out. And a lot of them do, but I don't know if I see many busts in that list. In those top 12 guys, I don't see a whole lot of busts coming out there.
Caleb was probably the most disappointing because Bo Nix and Drake May have looked good, and so is Daniels. But then, but I mean, they got the right coach in there, and look, man, in the NFL, quarterbacks, what you don't want to have happen if you're facing them is when they get the ball with 2 minutes left and they need to score, they'll 9 times out of 10 go down and beat you, John. And Caleb Williams has done that time and time again this year. Now, whether that's Ben Johnson just dialing him up, that's great. But heck, Elway and those guys had and Dan Reeves and Mike Shanahan dialing them up for him. So it's been a good year in Chicago. They got the big bad Packers coming up though, so we'll see.
There we go.
See one of the things, of course, there.
One of the things. One of my analysts on Elite Media is Brian Baldinger. We did the Texas A&M game Saturday, which, by the way, is just phenomenal. Everything about Austin was terrific. 103,000 fans. Great game, great atmosphere. First time I'd done a game in Austin in 15 years. The stadium's different, and obviously they're good again. I don't know if they'll sneak in the playoff. They probably won't because they played Ohio State. If they didn't, they'd be a lock. And we're back to caveman math in a lot of cases, JC. Unga bunga, 3 bigger than 2. 2 team get in, 3 lost team get out. But he evaluates all players for the draft, and he said he'd been chatting with Caleb Williams till from the time he was like in high school till because he lives up in the Northeast most of the time, and he said that kid was always ahead of the curve mentally, like processing stuff. And that's so much of it at that level, especially, is just you've got to be able to process and to be able to read defense and everything else. And Caleb Williams was like way ahead of the curve on that. I brought a prop. It speaks to, JC, where we are in college football. This is from when I was in Oxford. I don't know if it's going to make out in the screen. Can you see that? Camera 2. It says, I stand with Hugh Freeze. That is in Ole Miss colors, JC. So I was there to do a baseball series in 2017. And this is when Hugh, on top of everything else, got busted for some, let's just say, extracurricular activities that were frowned upon. I will maintain that's not what got him fired. Probation got him fired, right? And you, being the recruiting guru that you are, know that well of 5-star players on defense and everywhere else, they had wide receivers just like a spigot. They would just turn it, and stud wide receivers were coming to Oxford all of a sudden. This was before NIL. So you couldn't just buy players like we do now. So he was busted, and chances are he was not going to be able to do that anymore. And of course, they got on probation, and Matt Luke was the coach. But I'm thinking about what Ole Miss fans have been through, and it's so college football today. So they bring in Hugh Freeze. Ole Miss just is a kind of a middle of the road SEC program, not really going anywhere. They're kind of stuck in the middle to the lower third. And then they bring in Mr. Hugh Freeze. I stand with Hugh Freeze. And back then, Hugh was known as a pretty good offensive coach. Don't know what happened at Auburn, but he was known as a pretty good offensive coach, and he recruited some dudes. And Ole Miss all of a sudden started winning, and they beat Alabama. Not once, but twice. and not exactly with blue chip quarterbacks either. Didn't matter. He had so much talent over there. So then he gets fired, and then they get Matt Luke, who's just a gem of a guy. Loved covering Matt, but you knew he was a placeholder. And then while this is happening, Lane Kiffin, who had demons and skeletons in his closet, he's rehabbing his image first at Alabama as a coordinator and then at FAU as a head coach, the mean streets of Boca. And then Ole Miss has an opening, and they are going to roll the dice, and they hire Lane Kiffin. And then he puts together not one, not two, not three, but 4 10-win seasons. And Ole Miss is on. They're no longer in the middle. It's new money, JC, to use your term. New money in Oxford. And they are now, you're looking up at polls, and you're looking up at playoff chases, and they're in there. And they're beating really good teams. And there's Lane Kiffin in front of all of it. And now Lane Kiffin in a historic run where Ole Miss is going to the playoff. You start hearing the rumors. You start hearing Florida. Then you start hearing LSU. And now it's a matter of, okay, everybody thinks they've got the source that knows exactly what's going to happen. And, of course, we know he winds up going to LSU and leaves Ole Miss with the bag. And Ole Miss says, you're not coaching this team in the playoff. And Lane says, are you sure? And they say, yes, we're damn sure. Go to LSU and get the hell out of here. Is there anything more 2025 in college football than the Lane Kiffin saga? I ask you.
No. It's really unprecedented. Most of the time, people can, like, I've got mixed opinions about it. First and foremost, I'm not feeling sorry for anybody that makes the kind of money these coaches do. They've earned it. They've worked their way up. There's no question about it. But sort of the way it goes down with these jobs has turned me off a bit, particularly the super agent that is the puppet master of everything, or the couple of them. I mean, they need to ban that guy from the sport, and both of them. I mean, no offense to them. I mean, I'm a capitalist American and make a dollar, but somebody that's representing individual interest and his own interest, and not the interest of the sport at large. This is why when people start talking about unionization with the players and agents with the players and stuff, I get real skeptical about all of that. I do think players need protections and great deals and things like that. Don't get me wrong. Just because of where, are they, they're not making any decision that's in the best interest of the program. Used to be, if you were in the middle of a championship run like this, something opens that you like and like, tough. Well, shoot, I can't do it now. Timing is everything, right? It's the essence of life. But now, hey, the best job wanted the best coach and the best coach that was willing to listen. And he went. And at Ole Miss, because of how the sport's set up, you don't want a guy that's coaching LSU. They're on the schedule next year, man. You don't want a guy that's working on building that program or getting that program back, serving to, hey, what's to keep him from having a team meeting with his current players and saying, we'd like you to come to LSU. When all this is over, bud, give me a call. And so you're looking at losing your roster and all that. Now, that's not to keep Coach Kiffin from calling up Trinidad Chambliss and saying, Baton Rouge is nice this time of year or anything like that. I mean, it's not going to keep him from doing that, but it's just, you got to do everything you can to protect your program, and you got to send the message at some point. Hey, the $90 million man, great and all, but nobody's bigger than the Ole Miss program. And that's what message they sent. I hope the committee, another organization I have no faith in, does not punish them, but they probably will, because if you look at it so now they're going to look at it from football perspective and speculate. They wouldn't do that, or they're not going to do that in the Texas situation, but they'll do this now. They'll go because it's Ole Miss. They'll be they're just a little bit different now. They don't, just like they did with Florida State and them not having a quarterback. Well, this offense is different now. Well, whatever. I don't think that's fair to the players and the coaches that are left and all that good stuff. But and it's such an unprecedented situation. Now, do I blame Lane Kiffin completely. Do I think he's a bad guy? No, it's a bad look. After all the documentary and Lane's found himself and all this, and quite frankly, I got caught up with it and inspired by it. But this is the same guy that left Tennessee in the middle of the night and was recruiting from Tennessee for Southern Cal. Okay? This is the same mercenary that just bolted. This is the same guy that Nick Saban had to let go right before the national championship game because he wasn't focused enough on his current job. So I think given that precedent, Keith Carter and the administration at Ole Miss made the best decision they possibly could for both the present and the future, especially of Ole Miss football. And it's interesting that Pete Golding got the job, Mike, because they did this with Freeze. You mentioned Matt Luke. They did this with Freeze, and they promoted from within. It was okay. Matt Luke recruited pretty well. It did not work out, and they let him go and hired Lane. But it's just it's sad for the Ole Miss fans because as good as Hugh Freeze did there, and I'll tell you just as a quick aside, his mistake was recruiting Laramie Tunsil. Laramie Tunsil's a great offensive tackle, right? They could have found an offensive tackle. They got greedy. The kids from Columbia, Florida, or Lake City, Florida, Columbia High School. You know where that is. Gator Stronghold, Georgia's
Central
in it.
Florida.
Nothing. There's no connection to Ole Miss whatsoever. Everybody else, Kimdichi's brother played there. Laquan Treadwell's teammate from Illinois played at Ole Miss already. Lots of in-state guys, too. Kids from the junior colleges. You could have explained all of those high-level recruits away, except Laramie Tunsil. And then you had to understand who Laramie Tunsil and his dad were because they were going to sing like canaries as soon as – and, yeah, they got busted for it. But, yeah, Matt Luke didn't work out, so they ended up having to fire him and hire Kiffin. I don't really know what you do. I know Ole Miss likes Pete Golding a lot, and a lot of coaches do, Nick Saban included. So maybe it's just his time, and I'm not saying he wouldn't do a great job, but I think Ole Miss fans are going to kind of look at it like, well, this is the next Matt Luke instead of this is a coach that can continue to keep this program at this level. It's unfortunate because we don't know. But I thought that was very interesting. But I've got mixed I got mixed feelings about it. At one point, it like turns my stomach with this is how the sport is. On another point, you look at I had an old coach tell me a long time ago, Mike, because he took a job with a loaded team coming back the next year's high school basketball coach at Gainesville, Georgia. His name's Seth Vining. And he had East Hall High School, won a state championship, had everybody back, a bunch of juniors, and he took the job at Lakeview Academy, which goes from talent to no talent. But he always wanted that job at that private school. And he said, listen, I had a coach tell me a long time ago, he said, JC, when a job opens, you got to take it. Because even though people get fired all the time and it may not ever open again, you just don't know. You just don't know. And so if it's open and you want it, take it. I think that's what people encourage Lane to do. And he did. And we'll see how it works out. And I'll remind everyone, all this for a coach that's never won a championship except for winning the Conference USA or whatever at FAU. So I think he'll do great things at LSU, most likely. Everybody seems to. But that's where the coaching, the diluted coaching talent pool is right now. And so there's a lot of crapshoots, not a lot of sure things, but chances are a lot of these guys are going to probably be pretty good.
Yeah, I'm mixed on the whole. To me, it should be up to the players if they wanted him to coach in the playoff because it is a magical season. And I don't know. I mean, I posed this question to you last week. Like, do you cut off your nose to spite your face? You have a chance to win a championship with Lane Kiffin. I honestly don't think you have one with Pete Golding. And so you didn't just lose your head coach. You lost Charlie Weiss Jr., your OC. I don't know how Ole Miss recovers from that in a playoff setting. So if the players said, look, I hate that he's leaving, but we understand it's a business. Hell, we're all getting paid too. And we're all looking at that bigger, better deal, which is what every kid seems to do these days. Not a hell of a lot of loyalty in college football anymore. I wonder how they would have voted. And if they said, no, let's keep him here. I don't know if I would have said no to that. I get it. He's on the LSU dime and he'd be coaching Ole Miss, but in today's whacked upside down universe of college football. I don't even know if that's as crazy as it sounds on the surface. But regardless, he's not coaching. And you mentioned what he hasn't accomplished, and it's certainly worth mentioning. The reason to me, first off, I mean, when you take Ole Miss to 4 10-win seasons, that is championship or not, that's a hell of a job. But more importantly, as I look at all these openings, JC, and I'll just hit on this, get your thoughts real quick, and then we'll break for the JC5. So I know we're running late on time. Florida, LSU, Auburn, Arkansas, Kentucky. So basically 5 jobs opened up, and then you could say technically Ole Miss opened up too, but 5 coaches got whacked. 5 programs said enough is enough. And with the exception of maybe Arkansas, because they, with Reed and Petrino calling plays, they put some points on the board. It's one of the worst defenses I've ever seen in college football. The other ones all desperately needed offense. And what are we looking at right now? You're looking for someone to go in there. No offense to the Coach Summeralls of the world, who are their backgrounds in defense, and he might do a hell of a job in Gainesville. But for the most part, everybody wants offense. And then if you hire a defensive coach or a special teams coach or a non-coordinator, you're desperately looking for offense in many cases. Just ask Shane Beamer in South Carolina, who would be trying to hire another offensive coordinator, and they're not alone. But Auburn could never figure it out on offense under Hugh Freeze, a guy whose background was on what? Offense. LSU grossly underachieved on offense. Kentucky, they haven't had offense in 10 years. And fans said the offense is so bad that we're willing to spend $37 million to get Mark Stoops and his antiquated leather helmet offense out of town. So when you add all, and Florida has been, I mean, Florida was once the fun and gun and lighting up offense scoreboards, whether it was Steve or Urban. They have been woeful on offense the last few years, and Billy Napier would, of course, not relinquish his OC responsibilities. So if you're looking for a common theme in a lot of these situations, particularly in the SEC, it's where's the O? Find me some O. And that's what made Lane Kiffin the most coveted, high-leverage coaching job search I've ever seen. Nothing like that. I mean, he basically made a mockery of the whole thing. I'm not mad about it. I mean, I'm a capitalist. It's supply and demand. The rules are the rules. It's a bad look, sure. It's not great for college football. There's a lot that's not great for college football right now. But he went ahead and he had everybody just drooling and trying to make a case to win the government contract, right? Like they're all got their 3-ring binders from Jimmy Sexton. Here's what you got to do to get Lane. And based on a number of factors, he picked Baton Rouge. There's not enough great play callers out there, JC, to reach the demand. And I'm not sure there's enough home run hire coaches to reach the demand. I'm sure all these guys will win the final thought. All these guys will win the press conference. Summerall, Golish, Silverfield. But how many of them are actually going to work? The odds will tell you, the history will tell you, at least half of them will fail and will be fired within 5 years.
I think Florida and Auburn needed to switch hires. I just don't.
I know exactly what you're saying.
And then reading some of the reporting from CBS John Talty about how Florida botched the Lane Kiffin job because they wanted to hire an NFL general manager. Lane Kiffin, besides offense, Mike, he's in this era, he puts together rosters better than anybody in college football. Why in the hell would you want some, I don't want to say clown, but somebody from the NFL that was with the freaking Jaguars? You know, those guys over-evaluate. They're too picky. It's the same sport. I mean, same sport, different game. It's not going to work. If you want him just to keep the budget and the money and let the Lane, that's fine. Scott Strickland basically did it because he doesn't want to he didn't want to hire Lane Kiffin because of personality flaws. You've hired and fired how many coaches at the University of Florida? And you did that. If I were a Gator fan today, I'd be livid. It has nothing to do with John Summerall. John Summerall's a great coach. But you know who he reminds me of? Will
Oh, I
Muschamp.
know. I knew you were going to say.
No, and it's not. It's
You
not
were
like
gonna say
I'm not
that.
predicting Will Muschamp results. Now let me just. And I like Muschamp, but you hear him talk. I mean, he's a defensive minded coach,
Yeah.
and it's almost like Florida's going, well, let's go offense, Steven. We've been offense with McElwain and Napier and all that, and then they compared him to Urban Meyer and some other stuff like that. And I get it. At Auburn, they don't care if you're good. I mean, they want offense, sure, but Summerall's a winner. He's from Alabama. He fits fine there. The minute they're out there, I mean, and he talked in his press conference about being blue collar. I'm sorry, Florida's not a blue collar program. I mean, you have to go to the Galen Hall days, to be like, hey, line it up and run it with Emmett, and they got great defense. No, that's not what. So I think ADs are overrated in the grand scheme of things, but what they can do, Mike, they can screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, want to add one more thing. How about the 2018 Memphis Tigers coaching staff? Mike Norvell, Kenny Dillingham, Ryan Silverfield.
Wow.
All on that staff. They went 8-6 and made the American Conference Championship game. But, that's amazing to sit there and look. Because Silverfield kind of took the place of Norvell and all that. Silverfield's a good coach. I've always liked him. I just, if you're Arkansas, it's just kind of the same old that guy makes sense. Let's give him a go at it. But I don't, he'll probably be sneaky good. But if I'm Auburn, I'm kind of looking at going, okay, Summerall is a winner. We all wanted him, all that good stuff. But Alex Gold is going to be a lot more fun to watch.
I've been high on the Moscow Mule for a long time on this show.
And if I'm the Gators, I'm going, why didn't we get Steve Spurrier? Why didn't we get a fun guy that went to Auburn? Shoot, But hey, look, Summerall's a great. Maybe he overcomes everything and all that. But I get sick to my stomach when I read, well, they wanted to hire an NFL GM that did not report to the head coach. And I mean, like, you're telling that to the one, one of the handful of guys that figured out how to put together a roster in this era quicker than anybody. Take his play calling out of it. Mm-hmm. That roster at Ole Miss, and especially what he did this year after losing all the guys from last year, and he's better. And what a clown decision. With
predominantly portal guys. I mean, that's what he's been living on at Ole Miss, on both sides of the ball. Their running back, their quarterback, their receivers, some of their linemen. I mean, these are portal guys, and he goes in there and he gets value picks. Ole Miss wasn't just, I mean, yes, the collective's very strong at Ole Miss, but they weren't just out spending everybody. They were getting creative. Kejuan Lacey was not the most coveted running back in the portal, but they got him.
Missouri.
Yeah, exactly. And did you see what he did this year? I mean, my God, it's like he's a beast. He's an absolute beast. Anyway, I'll say one other thing on this, and again, it relates to offense and many programs. Will Muschamp at two tours of duty, Florida and South Carolina, never got it right with the OC. If you're going to be a defensive head coach, you better nail the OC hire. And that becomes the most important hire for Florida in a long time now. You got your guy. He's intense. He's going to win the press conference. You better get the OC right. Because if you don't, and you continue to just have lackluster offenses in Gainesville, it's not going to turn out really well. All right, this show is turning out really well, although we're behind. We're JC and Morgan, powered by Advocare, advocare.com. Spark up in the morning, rehydrate during your workout, take some stuff that'll help you sleep that's purely natural. If you're a workout guy like JC, if you're not a meathead, but just a warrior, then you go ahead, you can get some creatine. You can add anything you want. Just have delivered to your door, advocare.com. Promo code Mike Morgan will save you 20%. That's advocare.com. Been using it for 13 years. Swear by it. Swear by it. It's all I ever use for anything. That's advocare.com. More coming up, including the JC5 after this.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cards while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach, and Bluffton, and online at palmcasual.com for our products and out-of-state locations. Go Gamecocks!
Hey, folks, want to tell you about our friends at Titan Construction Group really quick. They're a Mid-Atlantic-based general contractor, specializes in retail, restaurant, and office construction. TCG strives to separate itself from other general contractors by adding value every step of the process. From project budgeting to estimation, value engineering to construction, they focus on those relationships and not the transaction. Titan builds partnerships one project at a time. Among their clients are Starbucks, Crumble Cookie, Blake Pizza, Home Goods, 15 plus years experience, based in Midlothian, Virginia, and contracted in Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So get on their website, TitanCGinc.com. That's TitanCGinc.com. Get in touch with Brad if you're in need of a general contractor that focuses on going above and beyond for their clients. That's Titan Construction Group, a proud sponsor of the JC and Morgan podcast.
We're passionate about making sure that the Nest and Wild mattress is the best it can be. Made well and made right. Right here in Tupelo, Mississippi. So how can we do all that? Work. Hard work. And that means something. The Nest and Wild mattress is a movement. It's a pride in where you come from and where you're going. So get comfortable, because this movement is just beginning.
This is JC and Morgan on the Chief Sports Network.
College football forever.
Good morning and welcome back. It is JC and Morgan. Good morning, Doc Graybeard. Good morning, Harrison. Good morning, Brian. All you friendly folks that say good morning, we say good morning back. Good morning, Jordan. We don't have the answers to all your questions, but we do have good mornings for everybody. And we have
most of those questions are for the next shows.
Yes, correct. And tends to happen on this program from time to time. I know. Again, we're powered by Avocare, JC and Morgan. Time for the JC5.
It's time for the top topics in the sport. We bring the JC5. Number 1.
Mike, what do you? We talked about the SEC a lot. Penn State, Kalani Sitake from BYU has emerged. What are they? Look, I love Kalani Sitake. I got to meet him one time. I think he's done a great job at BYU. He's a leader of men. He's a fantastic coach and great human. The fit to me is pretty weird. What say you about that coaching search?
Shocked. I was just up there a few weeks ago to do the Nebraska game. And what I sensed from that fan base was there was a whole lot of I don't know. But once Matt Rule re-upped with Nebraska, it was like, I don't know where we're going. They were never in the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes. I don't know if the coaches that were hired by these SEC schools were really on Penn State's radar and vice versa. This is an elite job. It's easy to forget because ever since the Sandusky fiasco, Penn State has done everything it could. The NCAA, in its infinite wisdom, in a flex move, tried to basically bury the program. O'Brien did a great job of helping build it back up, and then Franklin won a lot of games, but just couldn't win enough big games, and then it got away from. But There's a ton of talent on this year's team. That's why Franklin is now at Virginia Tech, because people looked at that roster and said, how in the hell do you lose back-to-back games to UCLA and Northwestern? The fans still come out. They get 100,000 plus a game. Pennsylvania, still a pretty good recruiting area, I realized, right? I mean, there's still some talent over there, and you get New Jersey, and,
And
it's a great job.
They're near the DMV, too. It's right.
Right.
You go straight down from State College. You're in Maryland within, I mean, it's where Gettysburg, Pennsylvania is. Those are historical buffs. It's right across the border. So you got proximity to a lot of talent.
Right. Right. And you're Pitt's, with all due respect to Pitt, Penn State rules that state.
Yeah, Pitt will get about a handful of guys from Western PA just because they grew up loving Pitt and they want to go there. They could play at Penn State every year, but other than that, they're going elsewhere. And they don't have the reach into the Eastern Seaboard that Penn State's the program on the Eastern Seaboard. Like when they were back they never were in the Big East, but they were an independent on the East Coast. Yeah. I mean, from Maine to Washington, D.C., I mean, they dominated.
Yeah.
And then there's Western and Eastern PA that has a lot of talent. And then they could go south for guys too at times. So that's a sweet job. I mean, you've been there, Mike. I love it. Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, they absolutely live and die for Penn State football. It's a tremendous job. And yet, you're just not hearing the kind of names that you would typically associate with that level of job. I mean, when they got James Franklin was a hot commodity. It made sense. So I don't know. Sataki, he's 50 years old. He's, got a lot of ties to BYU, and he's done good things at BYU, but I don't know. He's been the coach there since 2016. He was the DC at Utah for a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I just
83-44 record. Maybe he's done well. He's
done well. No, look, no one would say this is a terrible hire. What people would say and probably will say is, was this really the top guy on the board? That's just what I sense. I could be completely wrong, but I don't know if Sataki rolls in there. He's not. We had our guy interview him. He's not the most charismatic. So I don't know if he's going to hit a home run at the press conference. That means nothing, I know, but still. And the record, they're a win away from going to the playoff. If they upset Texas Tech, I don't believe they will. He's got back-to-back 11-win seasons. He's a good coach who's doing a good job at BYU. I don't know what else to say, but I just don't know if that hire blows anybody away.
I'm very surprised. I'll just add, I'm surprised they didn't hire Eli Drinkwitz, because there's a lot of folks.
Eli would have left. He just
told me that was going to happen. Well, Penn State. I mean, Missouri's a good job, but Penn State. I mean, Penn State has the money. I don't know where that broke down.
Yeah,
it was very interesting that happened. But oh well. Okay, so we got to get going here on that.
Yep.
Could the ACC get two teams in the playoffs if Virginia wins? Could they get both Miami and Virginia in this year? What a joke that would be. But anyway.
I guess technically they could, or they could get 0 if Duke wins, right?
I'm in favor of 0.
So let's compromise and just give them 1.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Miami's got the ultimate argument against Notre Dame. They do. I don't know how strong the rest of the argument is, but they do have the head-to-head win against Notre Dame, and there's two lost teams. The committee's going to have to pull a Houdini act to justify that one if they can. But I'll say no. Short answer, no.
Number 3.
Does Steve Sarkisian have a point that says Texas should be in the playoff?
Maybe it's a little bit of recency bias. I was just there and watched them. Arch Manning is a different quarterback. The offensive line is starting to actually block. Still not a great offensive line, but I watched him in person. I called the Oklahoma game. They dominated the game. I watched them in person, call the A&M game. They dominated the game. They also have a win against Vanderbilt. If they didn't play Ohio State, this wouldn't even be a conversation. They lost by 7 points on the road in week 1 to Ohio State. So I think they have a very valid argument. If this was a 16-team playoff, they'd be automatic. I don't think they will get in. I don't think you had enough chaos on Saturday. They did what they had to do. I don't think everybody else cooperated. So I think Texas will be the hard luck loser in this, that nobody would want to play in a playoff, but I don't think they make it.
I do agree
Number
with this point
4.
that basically they're getting penalized for playing Ohio State instead of, Bathsheba University or wherever.
I think it's a cat food, isn't it?
Yeah. Number 4, if you're a Texas Tech fan, are you a little ticked off that A&M lost? Because you're not now, probably, if you win, you're not probably going to get a bye and not a home playoff game. Or would you take the bye?
Oh, this is like the new debate, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's better off? I'd love to see them get another home game at AT&T Jones Stadium. I think fans at this point, the bye did nobody any good last year. Now we got rid of that wacky seeding. We're not doing that nonsense this year, right?
Right. Yeah.
So we're actually going to seed based on the quality of teams. But yeah, you've brought this up several times. I think you'd almost rather have the home game, especially a program like that that's trying to like burst onto the scene as a heavyweight. And what great exposure it would be. Look, they don't seat 100,000; they seat 65. But you know what? It's a damn good environment over there in Lubbock. Have everybody watch binge on Landman on Netflix, and then watch a Texas Tech Red Raider home playoff game. That would just be blissful. I know Cody Campbell would be happy about that. So I would say take the home game if you could get it.
Number 5.
Number 5, could Oklahoma not make the playoff, or are they a lock?
At 10-2, I think they're a lock. Now, somebody asked me a good question the other day, and I didn't have a good answer. If Oklahoma's a lock, why isn't Vanderbilt a lock? They didn't play one another. They're both 10-2. What's the big difference?
I actually think Texas should be in over both of those teams.
And I wouldn't argue with you. Yeah.
Oklahoma did play Michigan, but that's different than Ohio State, and it's open at home, not on the road. So I don't know. It's tough, but Unga Bunga, right? 10-2 better than 9-3 caveman talk. But, I think Texas should be, and if they want to hold the Florida loss against them, so be it. I mean, Florida.
That's what's happening.
On the road, but we'll see. Sort of. They didn't hold Arkansas beating Tennessee against Tennessee last year. It's just kind of it's one of those weird, or whatever. So it should be an interesting debate. The thing with Oklahoma is they're winning ugly. And
they got a great defense.
All about the eyeball test. Everybody is, they're winning ugly. So I don't know. I think they should be in, but if it's a binary choice from the Oklahoma and Texas, I'd probably go with Texas.
Well, you'd have the head-to-head on your side. And it wasn't just like a little win. It wasn't like a last-second touchdown pass from Arch Manning. It was domination. I can tell you that firsthand. G5 John, top 5. New Mexico 5, Navy 4, Tulane 3, North Texas 2, James Madison 1. A lot of teams in that list that no longer have their coach. CUS, the conference championship games for G5. CUSA, Kennesaw State, Jack State. That's the Gamecocks against the Owls. The MAC, Miami of Ohio versus Western Michigan. The Sun Belt, Troy versus JMU. JMU is a 21.5-point favorite in that game. That by far and away is the biggest spread. Mountain West, UNLV, the Fighting Dan Mullins are 3-point underdogs to Boise State. And in the American, 2 coaches that are going to be bon voyage, Tulane against North Texas, the Mean Green, a 3-point favorite. And again, these coaches that G5 John's been following all year long. Memphis, Ryan Silverfield to Arkansas. Tulane, John Summerall to Florida. USF, Alex Golich to Auburn. North Texas, Eric Morris to Oklahoma State. And my guess is a lot of the key players from those teams will soon follow in the portal. JC, some final thoughts, kind sir.
Look at championship Saturday. This year's a blockbuster.
We didn't even mention the SEC championship game. That's on me.
So with the exception of Virginia Duke, I mean, it's got a lot. There are a lot of Big Ten championships.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It is. And let me just, I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you for that, because that would have been a glaring omission. Look, I get it. The playoff is the biggest thing now. It's not conference championship games. Some people say, what's the point? I disagree. I don't ever want to see the SEC championship game go away. And Kirby Smart and Georgia and Alabama, like it doesn't mean a little thing to them, even if they're both already in, although Alabama would be sweating it if they lose, just saying. I love that. I'm going to watch every second of it. I've never missed one. I'm going to watch every second of the Big Ten championship game. Those two teams have not met, and they've clearly been the top two teams in that conference all year long. It's a fascinating matchup as a Heisman voter. What Mendoza does in that game is very relevant. So, yeah, I'm glad. That's a good note to end on. It is Conference Championship Saturday. Should be a lot of fun. They'll be sparked up, I'm sure, powered by Abacare, just as we have been today.
All right, Mike.
That's a good final thought. That's a good one to
sir.
end on. You, kind sir, have nailed the exit. No need for an encore. For Mad Dog and JC, Mr. Chicago Bear himself, this is Mike saying so long. We'll see you next week. A lot of stuff to talk about next week. We'll actually have a bracket. How about that?
Heck
On
yeah.
JC, on JC and Morgan. So long, everybody.